Hi guys, so I am Rochelle Sese, your reporter for today, and our topic for today is all about the guidelines for formal reports. So we have here a 9 parts on how to make a formal report. So as we go on, I will explain to you on how to make a formal reports. So first is what is formal report? Okay, so formal reports, it covers a complex projects and is directed to readers at different technical levels. So although it is not defined by length, a formal report usually contains at least 6 to 10 pages of text, and it is not included the appendices. So it can be directed to readers either inside or outside your organization. Because formal reports may be longer and complex than other forms of technical communication, it is important to help your readers to navigate through your report. So this is accomplished with special front and end materials, so clear headings and other navigation devices like running headers and footers. So this section provides guidelines for writing the main parts of a long report and including a complete thing long report that follows this chapter's guidelines. In order that you can respond to this reader needs by following the ABC format, which is the abstract, body, and conclusion. So this simple ABC format should be evident in all formal reports, despite their complexity. The particular sections for formal reports within ABC format as shown on the right. So here are the 9 parts of formal reports: the cover title page, the letter of memo transmittal, table of contents, list of illustrations, executive summary, introduction, discussion sections, conclusions and recommendations, and end materials. We will tackle first the cover or the title page. So the formal reports are usually bound often with cover used for all reports in the writer's organization. Because the cover is the first item seen by the reader, it should be attractive and informative. It is usually contains the same 4 pieces of information that was mentioned in the following list with regard to the title page. So inside the cover is the title page, which should include the following 4 pieces of information. For example, the first one is the project title, exactly as it appears on the letter or memo of transmittal. The second one is your client's name. For example, prepared for Miss Charis. The third one is your name and or the name of your organization. For example, prepared by yourself by Rochelle Sase. And the fourth one is the date of submission. So, to make your title page or cover distinctive, you might want to place a simple illustration on it. However, do not clutter the page. Use a visual only if it reinforces a main point and if it can be done simply and tastefully, as in figure 7.2. So next is the letter or memo of transmittal. So letters or memos of transmittal give the readers a taste of what is ahead. If your formal reports is to your readers outside of your organization, then write a letter of organization. And then if your formal reports is inside your organization, then write a memo of transmittal. The letter or memo of transmittal, it has a 4 guideline. First is the transmittal guideline that was placed the letter or memo immediately. So when we say this placement means that the letter or memo is bound with the document to keep it from becoming separated. So the next one guideline is include a major point from report. So this means readers are heavily influenced by what they read first in reports. Therefore, they take advantage of the position of this section by including a major finding, conclusion, or recommendation from the report besides supplying necessary transmittal information. Okay, the third transmittal guideline is to acknowledge those who help you. Recognizing those who have been particularly helpful with your project gives them recognition and identifies you as a team player. So it will reflect well on you and your organization. The fourth one is the follow letter and memo convention. So, like other letters and memos of transmittal should be easy to read, inviting readers into the rest of the report. Keep introductory and concluding paragraphs relatively short, so no more than 3 to 5 lines each. Also, write in a conversational style, free of technical jargon. So next is the table of contents. So in table of contents, we have here 6 guidelines for you to be guided on how to make a table of contents. So first is make it readable. Second one is use the content page to reveal. So the third one is consider leaving out low-level headings. And the fourth one is list appendices. So in list appendices, it includes the table of data or the description of procedures. The fifth one is use parallel form in all entries. And the last one is proofread carefully. So that's all the guidelines that you are going to use when you are going to make a table of contents. So the next one for formal reports is the illustration or the list of illustration. Okay, so illustration within the body of the report are usually listed in the separate page or on the right after the table of contents. So it's another option of this is to list them at the bottom of the table of contents page rather than on a separate page. So in their case, this list should be include the number, title, the page number of every table, and figure within the body of the report. So the next one for formal report is the executive summary. So there will no formal report would be complete without the executive summary, of course. So consider it standalone section that provides a capsule version of the report, and it is free for technical jargon. So always remember that when we are going to make a summary or executive summary, we should remember that it is free from technical jargon. So in some cases, a copy of the executive summary may be circulated and filled separate from the report. So in executive summary, we have here 6 guidelines so that we are going to follow this 6 guidelines on how to make a executive summary. So first is put it on one page. The second one is avoid technical jargon. So as I was saying earlier that we should free in technical jargon. So the third one is include only the important conclusions and recommendations, of course. The third one is avoid references to the report body. So the fifth one is use a paragraph format, of course. And the sixth one is write the executive. So that's all for the executive summary. So next for formal report is the introduction. Okay, so view this section as your chance to prepare both technical and non-technical readers for the discussion ahead. So give the information of the report's purpose, the scope and format, as well as the project description. So in introduction, we have here a 4 guidelines. Okay, so the first one is state your purpose and lead into subsections. Okay, yes, in introduction, we have to state what is our purpose in this report. So the second one is include a project description. So we should include the project description in our introduction. The third one is include the scope information. So this section outlines the precise objective of the study. Your listing or description should parallel the order of the information presented in the body of the report. And the last one is consider the including information. Yes, in an open report, we should be consider in what we are going to include the information. So, the next one for formal report is the discussion section. So, the discussion section make up the longest part of formal reports and are written for the most technical members of your audience. So, you can focus on the fact and the opinions. So, demonstrating the technical expertise that the reader expect to you. So, the discussion section, it has a 4 guidelines, and the first one is move from facts to opinions. So, one way to view the discussion is that it should be follow the order of a typical technical project, which usually involves the following stages. So, first collect data, for examples, samples, interviews, and records. So, second is the subject these data to verification or testing, for example, lab test or the computer analysis. And the third one is analyze all the information, okay? Using your professional experience and skills to form a conclusions or the conviction based on the data, okay? So, the fourth one is develop a recommendation that flow directly from the conclusions you have formed. So, thus, the body of your report gives technical readers the same movement from fact toward opinion that you experienced during the project itself. So, that is the first guideline. So, the second guideline is use frequent headings and subheadings. Okay, so the third one is use listing to break up long paragraphs. So, the fourth one is place the excessive detail in appendices. Okay, so that is the discussion section. So, the next one for formal report is the conclusion and the recommendation. So, what is the conclusion? Okay, conclusion is on the one hand, are convictions or belief that based on the findings of your study. Well, the recommendation, on the other hand, are the actions you are suggesting based on your conclusion. So, for example, your conclusion may be that there is a dangerous level of toxic chemicals in a town's water supply, and your recommendation may be that the toxic site near the reservoir should be cleaned immediately. So that is the recommendation and the conclusion. So the conclusion and the recommendation sections provides a complete list, conclusions, and recommendations for technical and management readers. Whereas the executive summary provides a selected list or description of the most important conclusions and recommendations for decision makers. So, in other words, the view of conclusions and recommendations section as an expanded version of the executive summary. So, it is usually assumes one of these 3 headings depending, of course, on the content. So, in recommendation and conclusion, we have here 3: the conclusions, recommendations, and conclusions and recommendations. So, another option for the report that contain may conclusions and recommendations is to separate this last section into 2 sections, which is the conclusions and the recommendations. So the final and the last one for making a formal report is the end material. Okay, so one kind of end material is the appendices that is mentioned in the context of the discussion section. So note that the formal report may also contain works cited pages or the bibliographies, which should be included in the end material. So finally, the very long report may include the indices. So that's all. I am your today's reporter again. I am Rochelle Sese. Have a good day.